Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Yahweh, Baha Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Baha Hashem, Kurha Kudash. All praises, honor, glory, love, respect, faith, and power, and trust, and all credit to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and my Heavenly Big Brother, Yahweh Shah. Thank you so much for what you've done, what you're doing, what you're going to do. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of GMS, Great Millstone, who I learned from, and all the men scattered all over the world, teaching this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Bashem Shah. Trying to put a spiritual bug in you Hebrew Israelites' ears, you so-called black Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, and you speckled birds. And what is a speckled bird? That'd be a Hebrew Israelite that look like some of the heathen nations, like for example, a Hebrew Israelite that look like a so-called white person, so-called Chinese person, etc., etc. Got some videos lined up of the plagues that the Lord bringing upon the earth, and even signs from the heavens. I'm going to play these videos. I'm going to get into the scripture my best ability, say whatever God say through spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Shah, the Holy Spirit, the Kurha Kudash, Lord willing to be on me. Let's get it.
This is Dabu 7. I've told you guys many times and shown you in the past these massive objects feeding off the sun. But now, here, a moon-sized object is caught on HelioView. And as I've done for years and anyone can do, you can go over and you can compile all the images and create your own movie, so to speak, with HelioViewer, and you will catch objects just like this. Again, this is roughly the size of the moon. And when backed out, you can look right there and see the object, and you can see the Earth, for comparison, off to the side. This object caught right next to the sun. Again, it looks like it's feeding off the sun, almost like the sun's a cold fusion gas station. Then, we have the announcement that the FCC has authorized Reflect Orbital Inc. to launch a huge space mirror, Arendelle 1. They're going to do it and going to position it at about 625 kilometers in height in the sky. It's going to cast a moving 5-kilometer wide patch of light onto Earth as bright as the full moon. They're saying that the first one is just a test, but Reflect Orbital wants to launch 50,000 more of these into the sky. This is going to be pretty wild. They're selling sunlight on demand, and it's real. It's been talked about before about these things being turned into weapons, even China doing this, making their own mirrors. But they say that it will not burn bright enough to start a fire. All of this yet to be seen. Apparently, they're looking to use this in emergency situations and for people that want to pay for light around the clock. Others argue that animals that are nocturnal and all types of other things are going to be thrown off a rhythm because of this. Well, this is the latest. Eyes to the skies.
A massive heat dome is spreading across the United States, smashing temperature records and pushing cities toward dangerous extremes. But the heat isn't stopping there. As the dome expands east, millions more are about to discover that this isn't just another summer heat wave. It's a weather system rewriting the map. More than 100 million Americans are about to swelter under one of the most punishing heat waves of the year, as a massive dome of high pressure settles over the northern Great Plains and pushes temperatures to historic extremes. The system has already shattered records across the West. Salt Lake City climbed to 109 degrees Fahrenheit in the second week of July, breaking a mark that had stood since 1960. In Montana, Billings hit 111 degrees.
I had to skip that shit. I didn't want to see that red ass nigga playing a guitar. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Forecasters say the dome is now expanding eastward, dragging dangerous heat into cities that rarely see numbers this high this early in the summer. Minneapolis and Fargo remain under extreme heat warnings, with the heat index climbing as high as 110 degrees. In Detroit, the alert sits closer to 107, while Zion Canyon in Utah is bracing for similarly brutal conditions. The warnings do not stop in the Midwest. Beginning July 14th, the Northeast will face its own stretch of dangerous heat, with New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. all expected to push past.
What the fuck is that shit, man? Get the fuck out of here. Get me that goddamn, Jake. Jake looking all fucking feminine as fuck. And that's why Lord, one of the many reasons why the Lord fucking this place up and getting you Israelites. Cause that shit.
Urging residents to limit time outdoors during peak afternoon hours.
West had reached its peak heat over the weekend, although temperatures above 100 degrees are expected to linger through at least the middle of the week in some areas, particularly in parts of Colorado and
I hope that British cigarette burn up in that fucking heat. Shit.
Wyoming, before easing somewhat into the mid to high 90s by the weekend.
Meanwhile, Southern California is dealing with an entirely different kind of pressure. Inland valleys are forecast to hit 105 degrees, with alerts remaining active through July 16th as the heat lingers over the state. And as if scorching temperatures were not enough, northern New England is now watching the skies for a different threat altogether. Forecasters are warning of severe storms moving through the region on July 14th, bringing the risk of damaging winds, large hail, and even a possible tornado. The combination of extreme heat in some regions and violent storms in others has left emergency officials juggling two very different crises at once, a reminder of how volatile this summer's weather has become. For now, the message from forecasters is simple. Stay hydrated, stay indoors during peak hours, and do not underestimate.
Alright, but hell, the advice of the prophets of Yahweh Shema Shah for you Israelites is stay prayed up with Yahweh Shema Shah. If you ain't prayed up with Yahweh Shema Shah, and you looking for a way out of here or some protection, seek the Lord and repent. That's your only way. I mean, do I need to keep playing this video? Nah. New normal. It's a UK climate extreme becomes new normal. Yeah, might as well play that. Go ahead and get that. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm gonna throw it up here. I ain't gonna throw it on the list. No need for to put it on the list.
The UK's climate of the 20th century has now gone, according to experts who say once extreme conditions are increasingly seen as normal. A new report from the Met Office says that in the warmest areas, the hottest day of the year is typically 4.5 degrees warmer than in the 30-year period to 1990. And the report warns that British infrastructure, housing, agriculture and health systems are based on a climate that no longer exists. The report's lead author says it shows climate change is upon us right now.
For many people, climate change has happened.
It's not climate change, it's the plagues of Yahweh Shema Shah.
It's previously seen something that's talked about scientists, but they maybe don't necessarily expect to see the impacts so much in their day-to-day lives. I think that is very much increasingly, people are experiencing climate change, and I think, this is because the way we experience this is through these extremes.
Well, I'm now joined by our weather presenter.
All right, I'm gonna hear this shit, because then you're gonna keep talking about climate change. Nigga trying to keep the damn tarmac cool. The runway cool.
We have sensors in the runways on both sides. We have 2 runways, and they tell us when the temperature is rising 40 degrees, so we start to spray water. And that's because the aircraft, when they are released from the pushback tractors from the gates and ready for departure and ready to go, they turn around and twist the front wheels on the aircraft, and then they twist the pavement, the asphalt, when it's too hot. Well, when we have temperature like these days, it's about 30 in the air, and we'll have 40 in the asphalt from the morning. So we're starting now, and we'll doing maybe 15.
Alright, let's get to the next video. Let's move on back to my list. I want to play too many videos, but I just can't help it. There's so much plagues the Lord is bringing upon the earth. You gotta love it, and you gotta feel the Lord too at the same time.
People who have a lot of credit cards.
Oh man, get the fuck out of Lopez, Mario.
Singapore is sinking. No, the country hasn't misplaced its floaties. The island is actually dipping. And as you can imagine, that is a problem. Fighting climate change is one thing. Trying to do it while the ground beneath you is slowly giving way, that is a different challenge altogether. So why is this happening? Because of an earthquake off Sumatra back in 2004, or the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. For years, Singapore has been preparing for rising seas. It has planned seawalls, raised reclaimed land, redesigned drainage systems, and set aside billions of dollars to keep the ocean where it belongs. Now scientists have discovered that the ocean isn't the only thing moving. The island is too. A new study by researchers at Nanyang Technological University found that massive earthquakes off the coast of Sumatra are still reshaping Southeast Asia more than 2 decades after they struck. The 2004 magnitude 9.2 Sumatra earthquake may have lasted just a few minutes, but the earth beneath Singapore, Malaysia, and southern Thailand are still adjusting to it today. A few millimeters a year. Now, that may not sound like much, but sea levels don't suddenly leap over a seawall. They creep. Coastlines don't disappear over a weekend. They retreat, centimeter by centimeter. And if the sea is coming up while the land is dipping, you've got yourself a peculiar math problem. Scientists call it relative sea level rise. The rest of us call it bad luck. Now, in the backdrop of rapid climate change and subsequent rising sea levels, it's important to note that Singapore isn't sinking because of something Singapore did. It isn't excessive groundwater pumping. It isn't skyscrapers weighing down the city. It's an earthquake that has sent devastating tremors across countries, but also down years. Researchers analyzed more than a decade of precise GPS data across Singapore, Peninsular Malaysia, and southern Thailand. They found that after the Great Sumatra earthquakes, the ground didn't stop moving. Now you may ask, how is that possible? Because deep beneath the Earth's crust lies the mantle. It's solid rock, but over long periods it flows almost like extremely thick honey. When a megaquake strikes, that layer doesn't just snap back into place overnight. It keeps deforming for years. The NTU team says the mantle beneath the Sumatran back arc, which is the geological region stretching beneath Singapore, Peninsular Malaysia, and southern Thailand, is weaker than scientists had previously realized. That means every major earthquake in Sumatra sets off a slow motion adjustment underground, nudging the land above it ever so slightly. The numbers may sound tiny. Previous research found that after the 2004 earthquake, parts of Singapore sank at rates of up to 2.2 millimeters a year between late 2004 and 2012. Now, Singapore has very little ground to lose. Nearly 1/3 of the country lies less than 5 meters above mean sea level, which is the average height of the ocean surface over a long period. That's one reason why Singapore has spent years obsessing over climate resilience. The government has committed tens of billions of dollars over the coming decades to defend its coastline. As I mentioned earlier, new reclamation projects are being built. Sea walls are getting taller, drainage systems are being redesigned, entire stretches of coastline are being reimagined. Now, Singapore understands something many governments still struggle with.
I know this shit. They motherfuckers sinking. Anyway, things are changing. It ain't about no climate change, and don't call it no Mother Nature. It's Yahweh Shema Rashad that's making these changes. Shoot.
Now, we're looking at some pretty nice conditions here, right? But there's been an earthquake near Australia, someplace called the Loyalty Islands. It's a big quake, too. But the good news is that even though it's a measure at 6.7 magnitude, it has not produced any tsunami, so there's no tsunami threat to Hawaii. There's no cyclone threats either, even though we're getting deeper into the hurricane season and activity is really ramping up. So we're tracking really 3 systems. One in the East Pacific. This has the highest chance for becoming a cyclone. But all 3 of the systems that we're really concerned with will not pose threats to us. These 2 will remain to the south of us so not a problem. This other one could likely intensify, but it's going to move north into cooler water where it's going to fall apart. And then on Monday of next week, looks like another system is likely to develop, and that one likely to go to the north as well. So at least at this point in hurricane season, we're still pretty safe. But this gives you evidence that it's only a matter of time before we are faced with a threat. So take the time to prepare now.
Yeah, and it's best to seek the Lord and repent.
Whether you're backing up your home,
Yeah, and all these disasters, hit on the videos they promoting, or the generators, power generators, gas generators.
Welcome back. The talk around Kern County over the weekend. The ground shaking under our feet. There were several notable earthquakes yesterday and then again today. So I chatted with Dr. Matt Herman at CSUB today about the shaking, and here's his expert input. First, Sunday's 4.1 magnitude event near Fraser Park is very near the region where the San Andreas Fault intersects the Garlock Fault. He says both of these major faults are capable of very large quakes. However, he said the faulting style of yesterday's earthquake is completely different. And as a result, Dr. Herman thinks it's more possibly from a blind fault. Now, meanwhile, there was also a notable 4.3 magnitude quake near Johannesburg this morning, about 9:40 a.m. That's out in the Kern Desert, if you didn't know. I asked Dr. Herman if these quakes could possibly be foreshocks ahead of a bigger shake, and he said, as usual, that is the big question, and one I always answer with, we do not know. Of course, all eyes are on the San Andreas, and he said we can run computational models to calculate the changes in the stresses or the forces on that fault, but the Fraser Park's earthquake moved a small area of the San Andreas Fault closer to a failing, that is, in an earthquake, so a magnitude 4 is so small it doesn't have a large area of effect on the San Andreas. All of that is to say correlation and causation, right? A lot of people think that we're getting this little earthquake swarm or these numbers of earthquakes popping up suddenly because it's hotter, and there's no tie between the weather up above and those tectonic plates moving down below, so no correlation, no causation there. It just seems like we tend to get more earthquakes when it's hotter because, again, it's when we're paying more attention to it, it's when we have something notable and people start getting excited. So it's just a good reminder, Dr. Herman says, to always be earthquake ready, right? Make sure that you have a plan.
Yes, they prayed up.
A magnitude 4.1 earthquake shook the Southland early yesterday. It was centered about a mile southeast of Fraser Park at a depth of approximately 8 miles. That's according to the USGS. The shaking was felt across portions of Kern County and parts of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rochelle Murcia.
And I'm Michael Patterson. This latest quake is raising questions about why they are happening and if it's a sign of the big one. Eyewitness News reporter Steve Virgin spoke to a seismologist to learn more.
Did you know there are multiple fault lines in Fraser Park, including the San Andreas? There was some movement early Sunday morning that woke up a lot of residents in this mountain town.
What's happening there is the region is actually being squeezed. Imagine just sort of just stuck, and it's like a traffic jam. And so what's happening is the crust has shattered. It's broken into many pieces. Think of a shattered windshield with all the different shards. That's what's happening. So there are lots and lots of faults in the region, especially where this crunching is happening.
Robert DeGroot of USGS is talking about the Fraser Park region, where people woke up at 3:38 a.m. on Sunday to a 4.1 magnitude earthquake. It happened on the Plateau fault line, among the 3 main fault lines in that region, including the San Andreas and Garlock.
And then it was this huge jolt that actually shook the entire house, and I was like, whoa, what was that?
Kerry Mulder, the owner of Cliffs Cafe, woke up to the quake, as did many residents. Most say they don't fear all the fault lines in the region.
It doesn't scare me. It's maybe I'll be oceanfront property.
Kerry Mulder and Robin Steer are residents of Fraser Park for more than 30 years.
At the end of the day, it's never been anything I've been concerned about. Like, am I worried that, Fraser's going to be cut in half or something like that? No.
DeGroot says it's best to drop and cover and make yourself small or get under a table during an earthquake. If you're in bed, roll over on your belly and cover your neck with your pillow. It's best not to move or run around. And don't get under a doorway. He also recommends downloading the Shake Alert or My Shake Up system on your phone. He said the Fraser Park region is unique, especially the San Andreas and Garlock fault lines.
But that section of land is literally being squeezed and being sort of pushed out. So imagine this, put a watermelon seed between your fingers and think that one finger is the San Andreas and the other finger is the Garlock, and you squeeze on the watermelon seed and the watermelon seed shoots out of your hands or your fingers. That's what's happening to that triangular shaped land in between the San Andreas and the Garlock.
You can find out more information about Shake Alert by clicking on this story on our website at bakersfieldnow.com. Reporting in Fraser Park, Steve Virgin, Eyewitness News.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Murcia with Eyewitness News Bakersfield Now on YouTube. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel.
Yep. Any more video? No. No, that's earthquakes in diverse places. Let's see what's going on with these storms in China.
From homes to hospitals to...
有停电的地方。
我去。吃点。
过来了吗？我说没过来吧。
没过来，碰着高压线了，完了。
啊，刮高压线上了，看。
完了。
看。
完了。
不走了，这玩意儿。 报警吧！报警吧！报警吧！
这指定停电了吧？
报警吧！
完了，彻底完了。
过来了，他又离职了，他又离职。哎，那孩子可别给我挑。
It said a lighthouse swept down river destroys power lines and amid devastating flood in China. So a lighthouse is just floating around. Whatever.
离远点。
我们在这都很危险。离职。
完了！我操，这折了一根，这可废了，这停电了得。我这都闯过来了，他。
过来了。
太他妈狠了！我这给高压线干折一根，这不废了吗？
大火花打的咣咣。
下一步就闯那个桥墩子了。
On July 13th, after Typhoon Bobby passed through China, many photovoltaic facilities along the coast of Zhejiang suffered damage. There were flipped-over solar panels and damaged support structures. Among them, a major offshore solar project in Wenzhou suffered widespread damage. It had a total investment of about 11 billion yuan. Videos from the site showed the area left in complete disarray. Earlier, on the night of July 11th, Typhoon Bobby made landfall in Zhejiang, bringing with it strong winds and heavy rain. Videos from the scene showed severe flooding in some factory areas, with floodwaters carrying debris into buildings. Some power distribution equipment on utility poles flashed and started smoking. Due to the strong winds, rainwater continued pouring into residential buildings. Some windows and doors were damaged, and mist filled the hallways. Of course, damage to ordinary civilian facilities during a typhoon is not unusual. But when a large-scale offshore solar project, specifically built in the open sea, is damaged by a typhoon, that is a much more serious issue. The financial losses could also be far greater. Some commenters online mocked the situation, saying it helps boost consumption. Now there is somewhere to put all those excess solar panels. It doesn't matter. These are government subsidies. The money comes from ordinary people's hard-earned income, but Chinese people should feel proud. The coast is simply not suitable for solar farms. They're better built in inland desert areas, where the climate is much more stable, others said. Building massive solar farms in coastal areas is just a political achievement and a subsidy scam. The Chinese communist system has always bragged about large-scale construction, but never considered natural disasters. Have they finally learned a lesson this time? One person asked, before construction started, did they never consider whether it could withstand a typhoon? Public information shows that the billion-yuan offshore project in Pingyang County, Wenzhou, was invested and developed by Chint New Energy. On August 18, 2023, Chint and the Pingyang County government held a signing ceremony for the offshore project. The project has a total investment of about 11 billion yuan, with a planned area of over 3,000 acres. It was promoted as an integrated marine clean energy base, combining solar generation, modern fish farming, and new energy storage. The project is planned to have an installed capacity of about 2 million kilowatts. Construction is scheduled to run from 2024 to 2030, using a phased construction model. Each phase is expected to take about 2 years on average. Offshore solar projects generally require engineering designs that can last for 20 to 25 years or more. For the Wenzhou offshore solar project, the officially planned operating period is 25 years. According to Chinese national standards and industry practices, photovoltaic power stations are usually designed to have a service life of 25 years. Project contracts generally require solar modules to lose no more than 20% of their power output over 25 years. Because offshore environments involve high salt exposure, high humidity, and tidal erosion, the solar modules, steel structures, and composite material supports usually undergo special anti-corrosion treatments. The steel piles anchored deep into the seabed are typically coated with heavy-duty anti-corrosion primer. Their designed lifespan is often set at more than 30 years to ensure they don't collapse due to rust. China's offshore solar projects along the coast are generally designed with extreme...
Alright, well anyway, the Lord fucked that shit up. Hey, let me get to the destruction.
Regarding the damage to the offshore solar project, industry insider Mr. Yang explained that although solar projects are designed to last 20 to 25 years, extreme weather conditions exceeded expectations. The typhoon that made landfall this time was a super typhoon.
Wind gusts and the impact from massive waves may have exceeded the upper limit of the theoretical safety margin. Of course, the incident also exposed weaknesses in construction, following the same pattern as China's long-standing problem with low-quality construction projects. Mr. Yang said the damage to the solar panels already installed in the early stages of the project not only caused investment losses, but would also affect the progress of the ongoing construction. The offshore solar project in Wenzhou uses a nearshore fixed pile foundation system, along with some tidal flat installations. It's not like a deep-sea oil and gas platform, which are completely floating.
You know, that shit, them damn, you know, the shit that's inside, I think it's cobalt. I don't know the material that's in that shit, them solar panels. You know, that shit toxic. So that shit leaking all in the water, being exposed if it broken and bent in the water and exposing, letting that particles of the whatever the fuck it's made out of, is messing up the sea life, the water. Yeah, anyway.
On the ocean. Instead, thousands of reinforced concrete piles are driven deep into the seabed sandstone layers, with fixed supports and solar panels built on top. Currently, fixed pile foundation systems are the mainstream technology for offshore solar projects. Some countries are also testing floating offshore solar systems, but most remain at the experimental stage. Floating offshore solar systems face greater technical challenges in dealing with waves and corrosion. Some industry experts said that although manufacturers promote the strong wave resistance of solar projects, frequent typhoons along China's coast could potentially turn solar farms into marine waste. China's solar...
Yeah. What a waste. What a waste.
Northeast China is facing one of its most severe flooding emergencies of the year as Typhoon Bavi, the strongest storm to hit the mainland in 2026, drives relentless rain into Liaoning province. What began as heavy weekend downpours has escalated into a full-blown flood crisis, with rivers surging past warning levels, hundreds of thousands of residents forced from their homes, and entire cities grinding to a halt. The scale of the disaster became clear on
there you go. They had them grocery stores.
Monday, when Shenyang, the provincial capital,
They ain't fighting each other like, that's my water bottles. These my water, that's my toilet paper.
recorded extreme torrential rain that overwhelmed drainage systems across the city.
And that's outside. You got damn SeaWorld. Yeah, whatever. You got an aquarium. Yeah, you got the city aquarium at your right in front of you at the whatever it is you want to call it, the grocery store.
13 weather stations, their long.
Yes, a grocery store. I don't know what building this is or what place.
Exceptional rainfall totals, while the Hunhe River, running through the heart of the city, swelled to nearly 38 meters.
This is how much I used to pay for home insurance, but not anymore. I use Solvable to lower my rate, and now I only.
我让你看一下啊，这是4米，水位现在已经到了那儿，到了杆是3米。
Footage circulating on Chinese social media showed streets transformed into rivers, with parked cars submerged up to their rooftops and a person seen swimming down a flooded road. Elsewhere, a lighthouse structure reportedly broke free after its power line was severed, drifting through floodwaters along a main road and passing beneath a bridge. Provincial authorities responded by activating their highest-level flood emergency measures.
在沈阳啊，我说啊，不要买车，不要买车，要买就买船。不信，这下完了吧？都芭比 Q 了吧？
Shenyang moved from a level 2 to a level 1 flood control response within a single day, ordering government departments and public institutions to shift to remote work unless their functions were essential. Schools, kindergartens, and training centers suspended classes, construction sites were shut down, and night markets and scenic attractions were closed. Several metro station entrances were also temporarily closed as a safety precaution.
That nigga swimming in that doo-doo water. He actually getting some training. He's actually training, you know. He's like, shit, if I can't go to the pool to train, hell, the pool right there, I'll just use this shit. Yeah, practicing your swimming in shit water.
The human toll of the evacuation effort has been enormous. By Monday afternoon, more than 260,000 people had been relocated to safer ground across Liaoning, with the majority coming from Fujian.
Let's go to the next one. What's going on in Germany?
Germany was hit by a widespread outbreak of extreme weather as powerful thunderstorms swept across several regions, bringing giant hail, torrential rain, destructive winds, and relentless lightning. What began as a typical summer day quickly turned into hours of chaos, leaving flooded streets, damaged homes, and thousands of residents dealing with the aftermath of one of the strongest storm events of the season. Lower Saxony was among the hardest hit areas. Communities including Hanover, Heidenau, Oiten, Longenhagen, Kaltenweid, and Sarstedt experienced rapidly changing conditions as severe thunderstorms intensified. In Heidenau, hailstones as large as tennis balls smashed rooftops, destroyed gardens, damaged trees, and shattered solar panels. Nearby, in Oiten, hail measuring up to 4 centimeters battered homes and vehicles within minutes, leaving residents stunned by the storm's intensity.
Alright, let's move to the next one. I mean, all these videos I played, you can go back and watch them. They go to the title of it and the channel. And see what's going on in America.
Oh no. Oh no. Fire. Oh god, it's taking over. Do we need to go downstairs?
And good evening. We begin tonight in Texas. Another flood emergency there after torrential rains. 59 counties at this hour under disaster declarations, and the reports coming in tonight of swift water rescues. You can understand why. The forecast called for more than 20 inches of rain in some spots. And among the hardest hit areas is Texas Hill Country between Austin and San Antonio. That, of course, where floods last year killed at least 139 people, including more than 20 children at Camp Mystic. And it's also where we find our Jason Allen this evening. Jason, they must be thinking not again. Good evening to you.
They're absolutely thinking that, Tony. Good evening. The rain has stopped here, at least for the moment, so that's a good thing. When the heaviest storms were over this part of town earlier today, all of this was underwater, and it is still cutting off roads tonight and surrounding homes.
A flash flood emergency in central Texas tonight as heavy storms caused chaos across the region, dumping more than a foot of rain. Homes in some areas were completely surrounded and roads left impassable, with as much as 4 feet of water rushing across them and drivers stuck in the floodwaters. In Uvalde County, the Texas Department of Public Safety was forced to rescue several stranded drivers this morning. While in nearby D'Annis, at least 10 inches of rain left much of the historic town underwater. It's all part of a system meteorologists fear could drop up to 20 inches of rain over the next few days. These sudden high-risk flooding events are infrequent in Texas, just 4% of days per year on average, but they account for more than 80% of all flood-related damage and 36% of flood-related deaths. This storm system comes just 1 year after more than a foot of rain caused catastrophic flooding across Texas Hill Country, killing more than 130 people, including 28 at Camp Mystic. In that flood, the Guadalupe River rose roughly 30 feet in just 45 minutes. Officials today are concerned conditions on rivers across the region could change quickly.
At one point today, emergency management said every road on this side of town, D'Annis, where we are right now, had standing water on it. The concern is rain could redevelop overnight, and that could happen with all of this water, Tony, still here on the ground.
Yeah, it's very wet. Jason, thank you. More now on the floods and the heat wave smothering more than 130 million people. Meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking it all. As always, Rob, good evening.
Hey, Tony, yeah, we do think the rain will redevelop, if not tonight, during the day, tomorrow. The pattern that's causing all this rain, it really isn't going to change for a couple of days. So let's get to it. Flood watch is in effect through Thursday. You see the radar the past few hours has wound down somewhat, but it will re-go as we...
This is Oaken River Street. Look at how it's flowing. Never in our lives have we seen something like this in, well, not in my age, and I'm 60.
Powerful flooding swept across Uvalde County, Texas, after relentless rainfall overwhelmed rivers and drainage systems. Roads disappeared beneath rushing water, rescue teams responded across the county, and widespread damage disrupted communities and transportation. In Sabinal, floodwaters submerged neighborhoods and major streets, leaving many roads impassable. Emergency crews carried out multiple water rescues, while residents faced dangerous conditions as fast-moving currents spread across the town.
There goes the yard.
Let's get to the next one. Just seeing what else we got. House, what is this? House passed bill to make daylight saving time permanent nationwide. Whatever.
We have no idea what the future will look like. Flying cars.
Oh, well, it won't be none of that shit. Well, we'll have chariots. Flying, yeah, and I ain't talking about chariots, buggies with wheels on it, pulling by horse and all. I'm talking about so-called UFO spacecrafts and shit flying around. Damn right. And it's only gonna be only for the Israelites.
Central Florida is bearing the brunt of a highly volatile summer weather pattern. Over the last 72 hours, a series of severe afternoon thunderstorms, destructive 60 to 70 miles per hour microbursts, torrential downpours, and an intense barrage of cloud-to-ground lightning has ripped across the interior peninsula. The violent convective cells have successfully snapped utility poles, uprooted century-old oak trees, crushed residential roofs, and triggered massive multi-county power outages affecting thousands of residents and business owners from Marion and Orange to Osceola County. As municipal emergency crews, tree removal contractors, and utility workers deploy to clear debris-strewn roads and restore grid stability, meteorologists warn that the region's
shit hanging off some power lines, leaning up against it.
Atmospheric instability is reaching critical levels. A unique convergence of local sea breezes, a stalling frontal boundary, and a dense layer of Saharan dust has turned Central Florida into a literal weather battleground, forcing extended severe thunderstorm watches and dangerous triple-digit heat index alerts. The city of Ocala and surrounding Marion County communities experienced some of the most concentrated structural damage over the weekend. According to Ocala Fire Rescue, localized straight-line winds and sudden downbursts ripped through neighborhoods, instantly dropping massive trees directly onto residential properties and vehicles. A massive fallen oak tree severed a vital transmission line, causing a domino effect that snapped several adjacent concrete and wooden utility poles. Ocala Electric Utility launched an immediate emergency response after significant power outages knocked localized flash flooding, disrupted both daily commutes and major tourism hubs. Outdoor roller coasters, water parks, and outdoor arenas across Orlando's major resort corridors were forced to enact immediate, prolonged closures over the weekend due to continuous lightning strikes within a 5 to 10 mile radius. Torrential rainfall dumping up to 3 inches of water in less than an hour quickly overwhelmed local drainage systems, causing severe water accumulation on sections of Interstate 4 and downtown Orlando roadways. Further south in Kissimmee and St. Cloud, high-velocity wind gusts peeled metal roofs off commercial storage facilities and severely damaged residential lanais and screen enclosures. Independent damage assessments, such as those tracking Florida storm damage trends, noted that pea to penny-sized hail accompanying the storm cores actively stripped the protective granules off asphalt shingle roofs. Local roofing experts warn that this subtle damage leaves homes highly vulnerable to severe structural leaks as the rainy season continues. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service, NWS, Melbourne office, have explained that the sheer ferocity of these recent Central Florida storms is driven by a unique convective recipe. This phenomenon represents a hazardous triple threat: extreme heat, sea breeze collisions, and a thick atmospheric layer of Saharan air.
Alright, we'll stop right there. What is this about? I might say this, I might work on a video about war, Lord willing. What is this about? It's 8 hours ago. Let's get back to the natural disasters and plagues of Yahweh Shema Shah.
So what in the world is going on when it comes to our weather? Well, I'm going to tell you what we need to watch out for tomorrow and Friday in just a moment. But here's the concern. We are going to see hundreds of millions of Americans are going to feel the impacts of what's happening right now. From Washington State, where we're going to have some lightning strikes and possible fire. We're seeing flooding down in Texas. The East Coast is getting hammered with some high temperatures. And then obviously in the Midwest and the Plains, well, we got thunderstorms there as well. So we got some concerns. But let's start with what's happening in Canada. Look at this. It says Canadian wildfire smoke spreads hazy skies and extremely poor air quality to millions as plume invades the United States. It says smoke is already impacting air quality across portions of the Great Lakes and Northeast, leaving behind hazy skies and a fiery orange-hued sun. You can see a little bit right here, all the fires in Canada. Well, you could have. Now, I want to show you something else though. Look at this. It says steam cooker pattern grips the central and east as heat and humidity peak. It says a heat dome expands from the plains to the northeast into midweek. Residents are urged to take precautions to protect themselves and their pets against the uncomfortable and dangerous conditions. I've been saying this for some time, and a lot of people took the warning that I gave them last week, and they went out and bought a fan. They went out and bought a window AC unit. They went out and bought other filters for their HVAC system, and that was good. Okay, they needed to do that. But this is the reason why I'm showing you this. Look at this right here. It says, northern portions of the plains in the Midwest will experience higher actual temperatures with this heat dome than at the start of the month. Here's the concern. They were calling it the 4th of July furnace. This was on the 4th of July, obviously. Millions of people were indoors. They were canceling 4th of July celebrations as a result of the high temperatures. They're saying this right here is going to have higher actual temperatures. Again, look at this. Okay, look at this chart down here. This is coming from today on Wednesday all the way through Friday. But you can see right here, this is where it's going to be very hot. Okay, the central part of the United States, but all the way over to New York, Pittsburgh, Washington D.C. You can kind of see it over here. Okay, this is going to be extremely hot. But then in the green, all this. Okay, widespread thunderstorms. Okay, just prepare for that. With that said, look at Washington D.C. Okay. The D.C. area is going to get hit with weather alert, or it has a weather alert, as the highs could top 100. It says with humidity, feels like temperatures will near 105 both today and tomorrow. Okay, that's concerning. That's today, all right? This article is from today. But here's what's also happening. This actually started, the other day. Look at this right here. It says, Texas is drenched by heavy rains as forecasters warn that more storms could bring dangerous floods. One of the issues that we're facing in Texas or around the Uvalde, San Antonio area is that Texas has been hit with a lot of rain, okay? But the issue is, with their soil, it's not great for drainage. It's pretty much sitting on top, and many cities are flooding. Okay, I want to play you a clip. Listen to this right here.
This is the fake ad you see everywhere, right? But this is Ebony, a real game. Now I know what you're thinking, aren't they exactly the same? No, because Ebony is the real number gate runner game. Gotta try it, huh? Nobody ever believes me, but this really is
Day 2, so we're upping the ante and the urgency. Life-threatening, intense flash flooding has led to multiple high water rescues and evacuations across West Texas already. And as we mentioned, the threat, it continues today. The region is still eyeing down a level 4 out of 4 flash flood threat through tonight. So again, if you were, taken off yesterday afternoon and evening, this is your first time checking in since yesterday morning, they have increased that urgency. Yesterday, we were looking at a level 3 for today. Now we're bumping up to a level 4. Highest level of urgency when it comes to a flash flood outlook. Multiple flash flood warnings in the exact same counties where we were struggling this time yesterday.
Yeah, and this is a tough situation. When you think about the amount of rain we received yesterday, it won't take much to cause flooding, but this is happening over and over and over again. This mesoconvective vortex is just repeating, basically, and giving us more rounds of rain. And we, once again, considerable tag on this flash flood warning. With all of the rain that we've had in the past 24 hours and a lot of it coming down in a short period of time, no surprise. Look at all of these considerable tags, Britta. We got a ton of them here.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it is a little bit concerning, okay? And here's the issue. The weather that we're seeing, over the past week or two, this isn't something that's just going to come and then go. This is something that meteorologists are saying we should expect it for the rest of the summer. We should expect these odd weather events all the way through, likely until like October. And then from there, November, December, January, we're going to see some very interesting weather as well. But this is going to be closer to snow, freezing rain, just cold temperatures, right? Then things are going to shift. Because that, again, we're in an El Nino. But it's likely a super El Nino. This is going to be very different. And this is something that many people are not prepared for. Here's something else. We live in Washington State. Washington State is bracing for wildfires as the incoming storm is expected to bring lightning. Okay? You can see in Washington State, and these are the highs today. This was actually yesterday. But you can see, in different parts over here next to the coast. It's colder. Long Beach, 66, Forks, 71.
All right. Let's get to these videos. I'm just curious about what they're talking about. Talking about air quality and shit. It's muted.
Advised to stay indoors. One fire official in Minnesota.
Man, this video was playing the whole time. I didn't even know about it.
You can see behind
shit was muted.
me that the sky over the Back Bay right now is mostly gray, but at times today it's looked more like Mars with a kind of orange or yellowish glow. And at a farmer's market in Somerville, we found a woman handing out face masks, and several people were taking her up on the offer and putting them on. That statewide air quality alert is in effect until midnight tonight due to the smoke from wildfires burning in Ontario and Minnesota.
Every time I take my mask off to like drink any of my coffee, I can just like taste the air, and it's really gross, and it fills me with existential dread, but you know, there's nothing I can do about it other than put a mask on.
Yo, that's a nigga. That's a dude on the that get the fuck out of there. That gotta be a nigga. I don't know, man. Anyway.
Air sensor readings show most of eastern Massachusetts in the orange, which means unhealthy for sensitive groups. But for at least a while this afternoon, Worcester, Winchester, and Salem were in the red, meaning unhealthy.
Let's get to the next one. That one muted.
Effect and the heat advisory, officials are warning everyone to be aware of the potential health complications.
That's right. As Tony mentioned, while everyone can be affected, some are more susceptible to the poor air quality than others. Our Sophia Szabo joins us live under the hazy sky in East Providence. Sophia, what's it like out there?
Well, Kim and Kayla, there is not a trace of blue in the sky right now. Instead, we're covered by this eerie atmosphere. And what you can't see on TV, but Tony actually mentioned it a little bit earlier, is just how strong the smell is. It's like there's a bonfire in our nostrils. And today, safety officials are urging precautions.
It's just wicked hazy. It almost looks like some old Wild West film.
It's dark out. It's pretty hazy. It's dark. Smoky. Air's a bit spicy.
That's how people on the East Bay bike path describe what they see when they look up. And places all across our area are covered in the same hazy backdrop. The sun, just a smudge in the sky in Galilee. Visibility not so great by Narragansett Beach either. All of it a result of fine particles in the air from wildfires in Minnesota and Canada.
The smoke is just going to keep headed our way into tomorrow, so we're expecting, we call it unhealthy sensitive groups for fine particles for at least until tomorrow, maybe even the next day.
The DEM has issued an air quality alert for the area, noting that certain groups can be more susceptible.
Kids are sensitive because they don't sit still. They're usually running around if they're outside. Older folks, people with COPD, even people with heart disease need to take it easy.
Cameron Cabral on the bike path says his asthma is making the weather noticeable.
It's definitely a little harder to breathe. I got to take deep breaths more.
The Department of Health offered these tips on staying safe while the smoke lingers.
And limiting time outside, keeping your windows shut in your home to keep the particulate matter out of your home. And another good trick is to recirculate the air in your car with your air conditioner on.
Now, the Department of Health says the air quality can cause coughing, shortness of breath, and chest pains. If you experience any of these while you are outdoors, you are urged to go inside immediately and seek any help necessary. Reporting live in East Providence.
Yep. You get the scriptures. Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. And saying, the Lord Yahweh is slow to anger and great in power and will not at all acquit the wicked. So this is for the heathens and the 2/3 of Israel. All this destruction using nature, the Lord is using. Yep. And the Lord Yahweh have his way in the whirlwind and in the storm and the clouds of the dust of his feet. See Isaiah chapter 28, verse 2. Behold, the Lord Yahweh by Shema shall have a mighty and strong one, which has a tempest of hell and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of divine with fire. And let me get one more. I got one more video I want to play. This ain't it. 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So the Lord is laying the plagues down on you people, and on everybody, even the believers. And we just pray the Lord have mercy on us, and just pray for mercy and strength to endure. Yep. Let's get to this last one. What is his GMS dedication?
We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
And I'm not going to play all this video, but I'll play some of it. But I ain't going to play all of it because I think I'm about, almost an hour in. But seeing it, I guess he's talking about weather manipulation and weather controlling the weather, 1960s.
Think about that kind
of whole video about weather manipulation, not just in the 1960s, but whatever.
Communication. And think about the opportunity that will provide. It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer. And ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
You guys, Europe is melting right now with reports of multiple countries hitting record-breaking days in the triple digits, including France, Germany, Netherlands. None of this is normal. Now, historically, Europe is nowhere near prepared for this kind of heat, and there's reports in France where people are jumping into rivers, drowning, fighting in stores for fans. It's chaos. And the death toll just in France alone has reached 1,000 people, with 109 people dying in just 24 hours. Now, we have to look at pattern recognition and globally what's happening to the weather because something doesn't add up. Now, we can't forget what just happened in Venezuela. They just had the most deadly earthquake they've ever seen, with over 1,400 people dead and over 68,000 people missing. Now keep in mind, that earthquake happened within 24 hours within the Ring of Fire, where we had Japan, Philippines, New Guinea, Venezuela with the 2 earthquakes, even an earthquake in Northern California. But can anybody tell me why there's a tectonic discharger patent? Weird. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no smart city plan for Caracas, right? Right? Well, would you look at that? Yeah, posted by the World Economic Forum themselves. Caracas 2030 is in play. States here that the young population in our country needs to actively engage in activities aimed at building a better future so they can overcome the prevailing negative perception and contribute to the development of the nation. And mind you, the target group is from 20 to 35, an age group that is assimilated into technology already, aka a smart city. I mean, it is kind of odd timing that we captured Maduro earlier this year, we get the oil, now we have these earthquakes, and now there's a smart city plan. Convenient. But that's not all.
I'm about tired of seeing this nigga with that fucking hairdo, man. Shit look too fucking feminine. Shit. Goodness gracious. Here's somebody that's actually feminine. And now hopefully not a feminist.
Up here, sun was different then. So I used to sun gaze every single freaking day for at least 15 minutes. I haven't sun gazed in almost 2 years. And it's going to sound like a conspiracy theory, but I don't believe I'm looking at the same sun. And if I am, I'm not looking at the same quality of sun. And I'm actually scared to. I don't think I'm looking at what I think I'm looking at. So I know you know what I'm talking about. If you've been on that awakening journey for a while, you know what I mean. I don't feel I'm looking at the sun, at least not through the same. I'm looking at it through the veil now.
We are experiencing this heat wave because of that thing up there, right? No brainer, obviously, right? The sun. But why do I say that? Why do I point out the obvious? Well, because that is not the same sun. And I don't care what you say. You can laugh at me all you want.
I don't know about all this stuff. Now, I know there are 2 moons. I mean, there's nothing new about that. You sometimes will see 2 moons. Or sometimes you know there's 1 moon here being shown and there's another moon on the other part of the world. There might be multiple moons. I don't know. But, yeah, because that's another thing. I think it was a Gadite or a Reubenite. His name is 2 Moons. I looked that up a while back. So, you know, Gad or Reuben, they was over here. Shit, they see some stuff. Shit.
I have been on this earth for 32 years now, and I have never in my life seen the sun bright white. I feel like I'm living in an LED lit world now. You know, people.
Whatever, anyway. But I'm not going to play all this, but if you want to watch the rest of it, be my guest. And my take on the weather manipulation stuff, I mean, yeah, Esau and these other heathen nations got something. But I don't give a fuck about that shit, because the Lord is in control of all that. I mean, that's why I be doing, when I play these videos about plagues and earthquakes and diverse places, storms and all that, I'm always giving credit to the Lord. I ain't say, oh yeah, weather manipulation, that's all that's to talk about. No, it's the Lord, nigga. It's always the Lord. But if you want to watch the rest of this bruh video, here go a title. And there go the channel. Oh no, that's the title of the video. They go to the channel. I'm out. I'm sleepy. While I'm playing these videos, my eyes were closing and I had to reopen them, and that's all. Anyway, seek Yahweh Shema Shah by seeking his prophets and take heed of what to say and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah by praying Yahweh Shema Shah, praising Yahweh Shema Shah, worshiping Yahweh Shema Shah, fearing Yahweh Shema Shah, and repenting Yahweh Shema Shah. To all the men out there pushing this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Keep on preaching, keep on teaching, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah, stay humble. And for you few sisters out there taking heed, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah, stay humble, stay in order with your man. If you ain't got no man, Stay in order, Yahweh Shema Shah. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.